Fatal is the founder of Think Outside the Block. Fatal, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh man, what can I say? There's so much to say. Well, first of all, good morning, everybody. I don't know. I was born and raised, still residing in Inglewood community, and I actually I graduated from Simeon High School. Didn't go to college, any of that. I actually, which most of, I want to say, like a lot of our youth, as we're growing up in underserved communities like Inglewood, sometimes choose the wrong path. And so that's kind of what happened with me. I went in, I was took to the streets, and one day I finally kind of woke up and just was like, thought to myself, like, this can't be forever. I didn't see forever in that life. Along with, I was pursuing music at the time as well, when a kid from my community was killed by the name of Lil JoJo. And it was this whole feud with some other artists from our community that I had relationships with and music with. And so I was actually in Atlanta though when this happened and recording. And like that week I came back, me having relationships with kind of both groups, I decided to do something positive that could just bring a positive light to the Inglewood community. And so I reached out to all the barbers that I knew, and I put out a flyer that I was trying to raise turkeys to pass out. And so this event, I was able to probably raise a little bit over 200 turkeys, and I had about 10 barbers come out and cut the young guy's head in the community for free. And we just had a DJ, and I just invited the men from the community that I knew that were doing positive things. I didn't know what was going to come from it. I just felt like doing something positive. And I never even planned to do it again. It was just like, this energy is now in our community, and it just didn't feel right. So I kind of went with it, and let's just say the people have not let me stop since that time. And so this was in 2012. And so now we're here, and I have founded an organization, Think Outside the Block. I currently coordinated a $1 million initiative funded by the Department of Justice to develop a community-based strategy to reduce violence, integrate the Inglewood community. I'm a part of the Mayor's Bicycle Advisory Council, and the organizer for Rolling Peace, and a lot of other stuff. Like, it's kind of like when you like a new artist and you got a hit, like everybody want to feature. So it's like I get pulled in a lot of different directions to be a part of a lot of different things. So
great. So what is the mission of Think Outside the Block?
So when I created this with the idea of me being a person that I wish I had growing up. And so just thinking about a lot of things that wasn't discussed, that I didn't know about, and that I'm also not even ashamed of. And I just want to make sure that the generations following, and even some of my peers, know that this information is available, and these are some of the conversations that we should be having as it relates to credit, financial literacy, owning the land, just different things like that. What's cool versus what's not. The things we're teaching our sons versus the things we teach our daughters. And so just a lot of these different conversations. So, but ultimately, like, the mission is to provide a better quality of life for disadvantaged youth. But of course, it's like you can't kind of do one thing without doing the other. So while like my main focus is the youth, to even understand that there's some homes that's broken, and there's parents or somebody that has to bring the youth to these events or to do these activities.
Okay.
And so even thinking about having resources to be able to provide to help the parents as well is an important thing for me. So just how do we build the entire community?
Okay. And why did you want to start the organization?
Again, I really can't, like this isn't a thing that I've been wanting to do since I was little, or nothing that I even planned to do.
Okay.
But it was really just like the series of events that kind of happened, and of the feelings that I had, and it was like a light that I just gravitated toward, and kind of just went with. I can't, because like there was a lot of conversation, a lot of people like in the peak. I remember just being in Atlanta when Keith got signed, or the world may know as Chief Keef. I remember Interscope, we had a show in Atlanta, and Interscope flew to our hotel and signed them at our hotel. And at the time, like we had a song that was out that was circulating and beginning to get big or whatever. And I had 2 different songs playing on 92.3 and WGCI and some other stations. And like, people like still to this day ask me why I walked away from music or why I just stopped. And it was really just like this thing that kind of grew, this passion for helping the community. Every event, every conversation, every meeting, just seeing that there was a different need or another need or a void that needed to be felt. And for some reason, I got like this thing that told me I was the person to fill it. So I kind of just went with it.
And how did your organization give back to the community?
Say it again.
How did your organization give back to the community?
Oh man. So like I said, we began with our Thanksgiving extrav, which pretty much is our longest event, and probably next to Rolling Peace, the most known or popular event that we do, where pretty much the Monday before Thanksgiving, annually, we have now we've grown to barbers, beauticians, and nail techs.
Okay.
Because the second year, a lady who owned a beauty salon kind of reached out and was like, "I see you doing things for the boys. Why aren't you doing things for the girl?"
Okay.
And I kind of explained to her, like, I thought it was like, because at the time I didn't have a daughter, so I thought it was like this long, drawn out process that you needed a water sink and all of this other stuff. And she basically just told me, like, you could have their hair pre-washed, and we can do some simple things, hairstyles. So, but now I have barbers, beauticians, nail techs to service the youth pre-K through 12th grade. We give out the turkeys as well as sides and head scarves and gloves and coats. And so this is, we usually do this at Ogden Park every year. So this is downstairs in a large club room, but upstairs in a gymnasium, we have probably almost every game or activity that you could think of. And so over the years, as they've come out with different stuff, I just continue to invest in like the large games, chess, giant Jenga, and Connect Four, all these different things. We have the jumpy houses come out, all of the arts and crafts, and just a lot of different things. They have their own DJ, pinatas, snacks, all of that kind of stuff. And so for me, I kind of thought about growing up to be able to go to some of my friends' houses. And even like when I got older, just to see some other situations and understand that everybody's home situations are different. And some kids are going home to things that some people wouldn't even imagine. Some of our youth are in survival mode every day, and something as simple as that a lot of us take for granted is just figuring out how they're gonna eat tonight. And so for me, it was like creating this experience, even with some of the prizes and the gifts and things that we may give away. To know that if I gave a kid a bike or a video game or whatever, that they may not even get to enjoy that when they go home. For all I know, there could be an older sibling that may take it, or overpower them to play it, or it may be a parent that may be abusing some substance or something, may go sell it or whatever. So, but if I can create this experience at the park, it could be something that they'll never forget. But ultimately, creating an experience wasn't enough for me. And I started thinking about how can I change the mentality of our youth as well as the parents, which it inspired me to do events that I can bring out, to create events that would attract both the parent and the child. And then we have these resources available to help both entities. And so in 2019, we piloted a trauma awareness series called Get Your Mind Right, where I basically used artistic expression to help community identify the traumas that we face that we deem as normal. And so taking something as simple as, I think about just standing outside and maybe just talking or hanging out, and when a car rides by, we all turn to look to see who's in the car or whatever, and that's trauma, because that isn't normal, and that isn't even something that you should have to even be thinking about if you're just out having a good time. And so what we did was I partnered with Oak Street Health, St. Bernard Hospital, Heartland Alliance, and some private practice clinician and therapists to be on site just in case anyone was triggered, or in case anyone seeked additional help. And so I had the most popular comedians in the city to host these events. And so I would have artists to come up, a few different artists to come up and do acapellas about the specific topics that we were focusing on for each event. And in between, we had activities that the entire audience could participate in, centered around trauma and getting them to even know what trauma is or what it means, and hopes that they'll apply that in their everyday life. And if some of them were experiencing it, that they would seek additional help, which we had like this actual anonymous box that if you didn't want to openly say that you needed help, you can put it in the box, and we have a health professional to contact you. And so even to even get everybody to interact with the health professionals, we created a system that with the agenda or the pamphlet that had everything that was going on, we made everybody at least go up and ask one of the health professionals a question. And this was the way, I had this whole jerk meal set up at the end so that the health professional had to stamp it so that you could even eat. And so this was a way that we were getting people to identify with just things like going into Walgreens and having to ask somebody to open up the glass cabinet in order for you to get deodorant or Enfamil or whatever, and to know that there's another part of the city of Chicago that you can just go in and there's nothing locked up. Just making people aware of this isn't normal. Why is our community like this? What can we do about it? What should we be doing about it? Just beginning to ask the right questions, and hopes that some action will be put forth to help, kind of undo some of these things that's damaging to us, and saying to us that we're these type of people in our own community. So also Roll in Peace is this large community bike tour that we do twice a year. So I created this in mind to deter violence ultimately, not even knowing how many other opportunities that Rolling Peace would bring. And so I create a different route every bike ride that will go through the areas of Inglewood that experience the most violence. And actually, the commander or the previous commanders from 7th District reported out in a meeting with the mayor's office that there's been zero reports of violent crimes in Inglewood every day in the entire 7th District, every day that we've done Rolling Peace. And so, but it also just creates exercising, and people are just having so much fun doing it that they don't even realize like they're exercising. We're promoting a healthier lifestyle, and just this bringing people together. Like now, in September we just completed Rolling Peace 6, and we now have people flying in to do Rolling Peace into the city. We have people that ride their bike from as far as Rogers Park to do Rolling Peace. And in 2020, we had over, in the height of a pandemic, we had over 1,000 people to come out and do this, to do this bike ride. And it's an evening ride. We don't pull out until 8 p.m., until it's dark outside. And so it was this thing that when I even mentioned doing Rolling Peace, that so many people were like, nobody coming to Inglewood to ride bikes. Definitely not coming that night. So it was challenging, and it was a challenge for me because I wanted to show people that my community isn't what you think it is, or what everybody says it is, because typically when you hit Inglewood, there's a negative connotation attached to it. And so it was my definite goal, and I guess duty, to show that there's so many great things about the greater Inglewood community that people just don't know. And how could I use my platform or my skill at organizing to show that, to display that. And so, yeah, it's just so many different things, so many different ideas. Like, I'll literally get an idea tonight and be looking to do it in the next week or two. We just did December 30th a coat giveaway, a coat and toy giveaway at Ogden Park, and turned right around in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. January 18th, and did a coat giveaway at the Villa at 63rd and Halsted. Coats, had scarves and gloves, and we also partnered with the Inglewood Chamber of Commerce and DoorDash, and we supported actually 7 businesses because we were able to leverage that partnership to purchase 100 meals from 3 different restaurants through DoorDash to pass out to the community as they came to get coats. And out of these 3 restaurants, there were 3 drivers through DoorDash that went and picked the meals up that not only reached their goals for the day through this one trip, but they also received large tips for even doing that, as well as driving business into the Villa with all the traffic that we brought. And so we were able to support 7 businesses. We gave out over 300 coats, had scarves and gloves, and just brought a lot of people together to volunteer and just feel good about themselves by being able to help other people. So I could probably talk forever about things that we've done and stuff like that, so I kind of just stopped there. But mainly just really doing trauma awareness, and kind of bringing people together and connecting people to resources and inspiring our youth, redefining success, and letting them know that you don't need $100 million or a Bugatti or this big mansion to be successful. You can literally wake up every day and do the thing that you love to do and create currency to provide for yourself and or your loved ones, and that's success in itself.
Who inspired you to do what you do?
Pain. I want to say my biggest. I would say it's a mixture between my mother and Tupac.
Okay.
I would say watching the things that my mother went through, even just raising me in Inglewood, and the things that I put her through, the scares and just living this lifestyle, but ultimately just wanting more and understanding as the oldest boy, having no active father figure or uncles or older cousins or any of that, those elements that could possibly protect me from this certain lifestyle or guide me in a different direction. Just understanding, like, I kind of, like, in my mind as a kid, I did the necessary things that I had to do to survive and to protect my little sisters and my mother. But also getting in that lifestyle and then not even realizing that now I'm a part of this. And it's become kind of like more than just me surviving. It's like now I've adapted to this lifestyle, and I'm in a way was kind of sort of glorifying it through the music and other things. And so, but listening to like interviews from like Tupac that were like, he rapped about certain things, but it was like, I felt like he gave you he gave it to you from every angle, right? It was like he talked about the good, the bad. He uplifted the people who, in his eyes, deserved to be uplifted. But then it was like he called a spade, right? And so, but also he made people know that how could you claim or own, like, because often we hear people, like I hear people talk about this my community, or this my hood, or this my block. And like for people to take ownership of things like that, or to say, make statements like that, but then to know that, like my question is, what have you done for your community or your hood or your block or this place that you saying belong to you? Or why don't you own anything? Or why can't this white car with blue writing and blue and white lights pull up and like tell you what to do if it belongs to you, or if you own it, or whatever this thing that you're claiming? And so like just holding it held me to a standard of accountability, I guess, for me to even take ownership of saying like, I am this to Inglewood, or Inglewood means this to me. It made me just ask myself, like, what have I done, or what am I doing to even be able to say this is my community or whatever. And also just, again, just like pain, like helping people is therapeutic for me as well. And like last year was the roughest year ever. I probably went through more than the average person will go through in their entire life in 2020. And the year kind of just started off like that. Me not even like, I think about Kobe Bryant, and me not even like never meeting Kobe Bryant, right? But having this connection with him through the way he cared about basketball and the different interviews that I saw from him and the way that he played the game. And like all my friends, everybody around me would always like make jokes. It's like like the Lakers could have lost by 100 or whatever. He could have took 100 shots and missed 97 of them, and I would always like defend him or whatever. And so it hit me hard when that happened. And I remember having to speak, like literally, there's an organization that does this large women empowerment event. And so like I was the first man invited to this event and asked to speak at it. And so, but I remember getting ready and finding this news out. Like, you know, how somebody sends you something, and you like, why are people playing? Like, why would somebody even do this? And because it was like Kobe was like one of them people that it just seemed like would live like forever. Like, you never picture like somebody like that even passing. And literally like 2 weeks, like I went through that actually like broke me down. And I put it together and went to the event and did it, spoke or whatever. And 2 weeks later, my daughter passed. And that was a pain. It still is that I don't know how I'm ever going to get through. But I try to make sure that I honor her and make sure that I uplift her name in everything that I do. And it was like a week later, the city shut down. It was like Mayor Lightfoot announced that everything was closed. And so it was like all of this was kind of happening. And it was like I was waking up from a nightmare to a nightmare. And not even knowing that the rest of my year would get as crazy as it would with me losing people to violence, me losing friendships, relationships, as well as people to COVID. But every time I found a way to help people and to push through and to do events and food assistance and rental assistance and organize events. Like 10 days before Juneteenth, I decided to do Rolling Peace when they said nothing should be happening. And over 1,000 people came out to Inglewood at 8 p.m. to do the bike ride. And so, yeah, it's just been one of those things that the pain has inspired me to just keep pushing and keep going forward.
So how can people find out more about Think Outside the Block?
You can, so all of our social media sites, you can look us up, Think Outside the Block. That's Think Outside with a DA block. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. You could also log on to thinkoutsidetheblock.org, as well as you can text Think Big to 474747. And just stay in tune. We send out our information regularly. We post about everything that's coming up, and yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
So thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real news can be heard.